The crystalline halls of the Valerian Palace stretched endlessly before Captain Marcus Reed, each step echoing against walls that shimmered with bioluminescent patterns. He'd faced combat drops onto hostile worlds, survived zero-gravity firefights, and negotiated with warlords, but nothing prepared him for this moment. The summons had been clear: present himself before the High Court for species continuation protocols. 2 Valerian guards flanked him, their navy blue skin marked with ceremonial silver ink that traced their lineage across their faces and necks. They'd explained nothing during the 3-hour journey from the human embassy, maintaining an ominous silence that set his nerves on edge. The throne room doors opened with a resonant hum. Inside, the High Court sat in a semicircle of elevated seats, their robes flowing like liquid starlight. At the center stood Empress Teleria, her platinum hair cascading over shoulders that bore the weight of a dying civilization. Captain Reed, her voice carried the musical quality inherent to her species. "You understand why you've been summoned?" Marcus straightened, military discipline taking over. "The message mentioned duties to your empire, your majesty. Nothing more specific." "Our species faces extinction," Teleria stated bluntly. "A genetic bottleneck threatens us. Our scientists discovered that human compatibility could save us. You've been selected as the most suitable candidate for the bonding ceremony." His stomach tightened. "Bonding ceremony? You will choose from among the newly adult females and create offspring that will carry both our peoples forward." She gestured to an alcove where 6 young women stood, their expressions ranging from resignation to barely concealed fear. Marcus's gaze swept across them, seeing individuals reduced to breeding stock by desperation. Then his eyes locked with one near the back. Her navy blue skin seemed to glow with an inner light, blonde hair braided with silver threads that caught the ambient luminescence. Unlike the others, she met his stare directly, chin raised in quiet defiance. Something shifted in his chest, recognition of a kindred spirit. "I need time to understand this," Marcus said carefully. "To know these women as people, not just options." Murmurs rippled through the court. The Empress leaned forward, interest replacing her previous stoicism. "You would delay your duty?" "I would fulfill it properly," he countered. "With respect for those involved. Isn't that what your culture values? Honor and dignity?" The young woman with the defiant gaze smiled, barely perceptible, but there. Her approval felt like a victory. Teleria studied him for a long moment before nodding. "You have 3 days, Captain. Learn what you will. But the choice must be made. Our future depends on it." As the guards escorted him out, Marcus glanced back once more. The blonde-haired woman mouthed something he couldn't quite catch, but her eyes spoke volumes. She wasn't resigned to this fate. Neither was he. The garden terraces of the Valerian Palace offered sanctuary from the oppressive formality of the court. Marcus found himself there at dawn, watching binary suns paint the sky in shades of amber and violet. He wasn't alone. "They say you're different from other humans," came a soft voice behind him. He turned to find her, the woman from the alcove, wrapped in a simple mourning robe that revealed the elegant lines of her collarbone and the graceful curve of her neck. "Kalara," she introduced herself before he could ask. "Third daughter of House Meridian, apparently destined to save my species through biological imperative." Her bitterness matched his own discomfort. "Marcus Reed. Apparently selected to be your people's salvation without anyone asking what I wanted." She moved closer, and he caught her scent, like rain on alien flowers, intoxicating and unfamiliar. "What do you want, Captain?" The question hung between them, loaded with implications neither dared voice. "To make my own choices," he said quietly. "To connect with someone because we choose each other, not because a court demands it." Kalara's fingers brushed his hand, the touch electric despite the coolness of her skin. "I've studied human customs. Your people value love, yes? The idea that hearts choose their own path? We try to," Marcus admitted, turning his hand to properly hold hers. The physical difference struck him, her 4 fingers instead of 5, the slightly elongated proportions, but the warmth of connection transcended biology. "I dream of that," she whispered, stepping closer until he could see flecks of gold in her silver eyes. "Of choosing. Of being seen as more than a vessel for genetic material." Marcus raised his free hand to her face, tracing the elegant bone structure, the softness of her navy blue skin. "I see you, Kalara. I see courage and strength and someone who deserves better than this." She leaned into his touch, her breath catching. "They're watching us. Always watching. The court has sensors throughout the palace." "Let them watch," Marcus said, drawing her closer. "Let them see that this decision won't be made by command." Kalara's arms slid around his neck, her body fitting against his with surprising harmony. When their lips met, it was tentative at first, an exploration of differences and unexpected similarities. Her mouth tasted of something sweet and exotic, her kiss deepening as uncertainty gave way to desire. Time seemed to suspend as they lost themselves in each other, hands exploring, hearts racing in synchronized rhythm. When they finally parted, both breathless, Kalara rested her forehead against his chest. 2 more days, she murmured. "What happens then?" Marcus held her tighter, already knowing his answer but fearing the consequences. "We find a way to choose our own fate." The summons came at midnight, harsh, demanding, and impossible to ignore. Marcus found himself once again before the High Court, but this time Kalara stood beside him, her hand clasped firmly in his. The assembled nobles radiated disapproval like cold radiation. "You were given time to choose," Empress Teleria stated, her voice devoid of its previous warmth. "Not to form attachments that complicate duty." "With respect, Your Majesty," Marcus began, but Kalara squeezed his hand, silently asking to speak. "Mother," she said, and Marcus's heart skipped. "Mother? The captain has chosen. He's chosen to honor what makes us Valerian, our belief in the sanctity of genuine connection." Telaria's expression hardened. "You speak of outdated romanticism, daughter. Our species dies while you indulge in fantasy." "Is it fantasy?" Marcus challenged. "Your scientists say human compatibility can save you. But they haven't considered that compatibility goes deeper than genetics. Forced unions will produce children, yes, but what kind of future are you building? One based on coercion?" A counselor with elaborate facial markings stood. "The human speaks beyond his authority. He was brought here to serve a function, not question millennia of Valerian wisdom." "Then your wisdom is flawed," Marcus shot back. "Because I've learned something these past 3 days. Kalara isn't the only one who feels trapped by this. The other women, they're terrified, resigned, or both. Is that the foundation you want for your future?" Murmurs erupted throughout the chamber. Teleria raised her hand for silence, her gaze fixed on her daughter. "Kalara, is this true?" "Yes," Kalara answered, her voice steady despite the trembling Marcus felt in her hand. "We've spoken. All 6 of us. We want to help our people survive, but not like this. Not stripped of choice and dignity." The Empress descended from her throne, approaching them with measured steps. Up close, Marcus saw the resemblance, the same fierce intelligence in silver eyes, the same proud bearing. But where Kalara's features held youthful hope, Telaria's showed the weight of desperate responsibility. "You would refuse the bonding?" she asked her daughter directly. "I would propose an alternative," Kalara replied. "Let the captain and I bond, truly bond, as partners who choose each other. Let our connection be genuine. And let the others choose whether to join the program voluntarily, with humans who respect them as individuals." "And if they refuse?" another counselor demanded. "If your romantic ideals doom us to extinction?" Marcus stepped forward. "Then I'll help you find another way. The Human Alliance has resources, technology. We can work together to solve this crisis without sacrificing anyone's humanity, or Valerian dignity. The silence stretched interminably. Finally, Talaria spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. You would bond with my daughter? Not as duty, but as choice. Marcus looked at Kalara, seeing his own hope reflected in her eyes. I choose her. Every time, I would choose her. Then prove it, the Empress commanded. Both of you. The bonding chamber was unlike anything in human tradition, a circular room with walls that pulsed with living light, responding to the emotional states of those within. Marcus stood at its center, stripped to the waist as Valerian custom dictated, ritual markings painted across his chest in luminescent ink. Kalara entered through the far archway, and his breath caught. She wore traditional bonding garments, translucent fabric that draped her form like water, revealing the elegant lines of her body while honoring Valerian modesty. Her blonde hair flowed loose, adorned with crystals that chimed softly with each movement. The court watches, she whispered as she approached. Not to judge, but to witness. To see if what we claim is real. Then let them see, Marcus replied, taking her hands. The ritual required specific steps, gestures that symbolized the merging of two spirits. But beneath the formality, every touch carried genuine emotion. The first movement brought them face to face, foreheads touching. I see your soul, Kalara intoned in her native tongue, then repeated in human English. I see your truth. I see your strength, Marcus responded, the words inadequate for what he felt. I see your heart. The second movement required them to exchange breaths, an intimate act symbolizing the sharing of life essence. Kalara's cool breath mingled with his warm exhalation, creating visible patterns in the reactive air. Her hands slid up his arms, tracing the ritual markings, her touch igniting sensations that transcended cultural boundaries. The third movement, she breathed against his lips, is the joining. Their kiss began as ceremony but quickly became something more. Marcus pulled her closer, feeling the softness of her body through the delicate fabric, the rapid beating of her dual hearts against his chest. Kalara's fingers tangled in his hair, a sound between a sigh and a moan escaping her throat. The room's light intensified, responding to their emotional resonance. Marcus broke the kiss only to trail his lips along her jaw, down the elegant column of her neck, tasting the sweetness of her navy blue skin. Kalara's head fell back, exposing more of herself to his attention, trusting him completely. Marcus, she whispered, his name a prayer on her lips. This is real. They can see it's real. He lifted his gaze to meet hers, seeing wonder and desire and something deeper, a connection that went beyond physical attraction. It's real, he confirmed, his voice rough with emotion. The final movement required them to lie together, intertwined but not consummated. The actual union would come later, in privacy. But as they settled onto the ceremonial platform, holding each other in the pulsing light, Marcus knew that the bond between them had already formed. Kalara traced patterns on his chest, her touch feather-light yet burning. When this ends, she murmured, when we leave this chamber, everything changes. Together, Marcus promised, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Whatever comes, we face it together. Morning light filtered through the chamber's crystalline ceiling, casting rainbow patterns across intertwined bodies. Marcus stirred, feeling Kalara's warmth against him, her blonde hair spread across his chest like spun gold. The bonding ceremony had concluded hours ago, but neither had wanted to leave their sanctuary. They're calling for us, Kalara murmured against his skin, though she made no move to rise. The court convenes within the hour. Marcus tightened his arms around her, reluctant to face reality. The previous night had changed everything, not just between them, but potentially for both their peoples. Whatever happens, no regrets. She lifted her head, silver eyes meeting his with absolute certainty. Never. You showed me that choice matters. That dignity matters. That love matters. The word hung between them, unspoken until now despite everything they'd shared. Marcus cupped her face, thumbs brushing across her cheekbones. I love you, Kalara. I don't care if it's too soon or too complicated. It's true. Her smile was radiant, transforming her already beautiful features into something that stole his breath. I love you too, my heart chosen. The Valerian phrase carried weight, a declaration that transcended the bonding ceremony, speaking to genuine connection rather than ritual obligation. They dressed slowly, reluctant to let go of each other even for practical necessity. Kalara helped Marcus fasten the formal vest required for court appearance, her fingers lingering over each closure. He braided her hair with the silver threads she preferred, learning the pattern she'd taught him the night before. The throne room was full when they arrived, but the atmosphere had shifted from hostility to cautious curiosity. Empress Teleria sat forward on her throne, examining them with newfound interest as they approached hand in hand. The bond took, she announced to the assembled court, and Marcus realized that somehow, they'd known, perhaps through the chamber's light patterns, or some Valerian sense he didn't understand. Genuinely. Completely. In a way we haven't seen in generations. Kalara bowed to her mother. Because we chose it. Because it was real. And the others? A counselor asked. The other females? The continuation program? Marcus stepped forward. I've already contacted the Human Alliance. We're sending a delegation, volunteers who understand the stakes and want to help. But it will be based on mutual choice, respect, and the possibility of genuine connection. You presume much, Captain, Teleria said, but her tone held more amusement than anger. I presume that love is stronger than duty, he replied. That children born from genuine bonds will be stronger than those created from obligation. That your people deserve the same chance Kalara and I took. The Empress stood, descending from her throne once more. This time, her expression held something Marcus hadn't seen before, hope. You've given us more than genetic compatibility, Captain Reed. You've reminded us of what we'd forgotten in our desperation. She turned to address the full court. We will accept the Human Alliance's offer. We will build a future based on choice, not command. Cheers erupted throughout the chamber, relief and excitement replacing the previous tension. Kalara threw her arms around Marcus, laughing and crying simultaneously as he spun her around. When he set her down, she pulled him close, her lips finding his in a kiss that promised forever. What do we do now? She asked when they parted, breathless and grinning. Marcus looked around the throne room, seeing possibilities instead of limitations. We build something new. Together. We show both our peoples what's possible when hearts choose their own path. As binary suns rose fully over the Valerian palace, painting everything in golden light, Marcus held Kalara close and knew that duty hadn't brought them together, love had. And love would guide them forward into whatever future they chose to create. The end.